I'm David Haug, Superintendent of the Jefferson R-7 School District, and I'm really excited about this podcast this morning. And one of the students I really admired a lot during my time as a principal at Jefferson R-7, Abi Chipps, is here with us today. Abby's really had a unique, I would say, athletic career, but I think it's more than that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And for you parents at home, we're going to talk a little bit about the recruiting process too. So if you've got somebody who's interested in playing at the next level, it can be a difficult process. I won't spoil this, but I think it really does boil down to your family taking care of things. And that's something I think I've learned as an AD for many years, is that don't rely on others, but use everybody you can as a resource, maybe is the way to look at it. We'll talk that down the road. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I'm going to say this up front, and I'm going to ask this question here. I think our community knows Abby as a softball player, and we know she's a great person, but she's so much more than that. And I think that's something I saw you as a high school student was you were always treated people with the utmost respect. Your grades were always very, very solid. She was a very all-around person, but really exceptional as an athlete that presented some opportunities for her. But I'm going to ask you a question, Abby. The first question, this is the hardest one you're going to get all day,
Okay.
is, as a principal, I could look outside and see the batting cage, and I would see you out there hitting in the summer when nobody else is around except for Mrs. Holdinghausen and myself, okay? And so I wasn't at all your practices, but I know that you had spent a ton of time in softball, you and your family. And so when you do that, you also had, I think your skill set with your hands was incredible. And I say this as you are the Missouri leader in singles. Have the historically most singles in the history of the Missouri softball, but also you had the NCAA. You were the hardest to strike out. One year you had one strikeout and 112 at bats. Okay, your hand-eye coordination. There's a rumor right now that when we did the pickleball stuff at the Health Wellness Fair, suddenly you're a really good pickleball player. Is there any truth to this?
Well, I've been playing with some people here at the middle school, and it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know your principal said,
I was
yeah,
gonna
of course
say,
you put
Steve
the
is
paddle in
probably-
her hand. Of course, she was the best one out there. So.
Well, Steve's pretty good too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, no, you're incredibly skilled, but I think sometimes, I know how much time I spent in the football realm, and I've talked to this with other athletes as well, former students who have gone on to do different things, is you got to be careful about letting that define you as a person.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now as we talked just a few minutes ago, the softball has stopped. How's that going?
It's a very hard transition, I would say. So, I mean, like whenever I was in college, my senior year at least, they even got all of the senior athletes together at Indiana State and they put on like a production kind of, but they brought somebody in to kind of talk about like how hard it is to make the transition from being an athlete and having a sport define you all of your life, basically, and then completely there's a day that it just ends. And that's a really hard transition to make. But I think that especially with coaching, it has been a good bridge to the real world and being outside of the sport. But it is a hard transition, but it also has opened so many doors for me that it has allowed me to get so much more, there's so many more doors, so many more opportunities. And like I said, I'm not completely out of it. I'm still coaching and stuff. But, there's also other athletes. There's other girls that I graduated with that they were ready to be done. And
I was going to ask, first of all, I'm going to say, great job, Indiana State. And I think that's a great choice for you.
Yeah.
It sounded like you had a great career there, not just the softball, but enjoyed the experience. And kudos to them for having that and thinking about those transitions. So when you played your last game, because I remember distinctly having a conversation. I was in a situation where I could have played one more year, but I also knew kind of where I was with. I had redshirted that I could get out, and I had a conversation with a friend who was not a football player, and they said, "This could be your last game," and I'm like, "I'm good. I'm done."
Yeah.
So where were you at the end?
Well, I have kind of a funny story about this. So there was a girl who was a couple years ahead of me in school, and she ended up taking her 5th year because she had a COVID year left over.
Okay.
And all throughout college, really up until my senior year, I thought there's no way that I would ever even consider taking a 5th year. And a lot of that had to do with homesickness, and I had a rough first year, and just being gone and away from home. I never thought that I would even consider 5th year. But by the time that I got around towards the end of my junior year and into my senior year, I thought, that would really be hard to turn down. And take softball out of it, just the whole experience of college, like being around all those girls. And I was very, very fortunate with the girls that I played with and all the girls on my team and who I lived with. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was ready to be done necessarily, but I mean, you don't really have a choice.
So I will ask too, did you have any significant injuries while you were there?
So I broke my thumb, and there's never a good time ever, but it really was the best time that it really could have happened. It happened right as soon as we started fall practice my junior year. I broke my thumb and had to get surgery, but I was out for a couple months, and then that was it. I was ready for the spring. So I was very fortunate with
and
that.
your softball season, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a fall season that's there's no really championships to be won.
Right, yeah, it's mainly like scrimmages. We play like some junior colleges that are in the same area, just really to get some live pitching and keep moving forward. Yeah.
So you've kind of transitioned out of the college realm. We're very fortunate to have you here as a teacher, and that was great. Anything else to add on to that, and kind of that mindset of anything you would have done differently during your process there?
As far as transition,
or I can't imagine I know how hard you worked, that you would have left anything. Do you feel like you left anything on the table?
Not at all. No, I think the way that I ended and everything, I think it was perfect.
Okay.
It's just, it was so sweet that it was hard to walk away from.
I understand. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I would agree with you. That's not always the case. I felt like I was done. I was ready to be done.
Right. Yeah.
And I have not looked back.
Yeah.
I've never said, boy, I want to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's awesome. And I think, again, taking that time, and we'll talk about the recruiting process here in a little bit, but I'm going to explore a little bit more about your decision-making to go to Indiana State, to make sure you're going to the right place for you, and maybe not always just the prestige or what people think you should be doing. Right. It sounds like you made a great choice there, and kudos to Indiana State. Mm-hmm. So pre-high school, you actually played Little League baseball with the boys for a good long time.
I did. I stopped playing whenever I was in 6th grade. I can't even remember when I started. I guess I was too young to even remember. But for as long as I can remember, I played Little League baseball. But then up until 6th grade is whenever I transitioned to playing softball for good. There was one year whenever I was little, I think I was in maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and I played for like a Little League, like T-ball softball team. And I played that for a year, and you probably
dominated it.
Well, I couldn't stand it. It was just too slow, and I fit better with the boys at the time. And so then I transitioned to the Jeffco Express whenever I was a 6th grader. So entering 12U.
So was there any, I've heard a rumor that they actually had to tell you to not play anymore, that you need to go towards softball.
No,
All right, I'm just kidding. But it's kind of impressive, and I think that I'm sure that had an impact on you later as far as your skill set and learning to compete.
Yeah.
And kind of stretching your, getting your abilities to match your situations, big deal. So let me ask you this too. So at what point I think all of us have, when we're little kids, we think about, I want to do this or that, or I want to be the quarterback of the Dolphins, or in my case, or Broncos with John Elway and Dan Marino. Like, at what point did you say, like, not just a dream, but like for real, like I want to play at the college level?
Yeah, whenever I started softball, I was still hitting from the right side. And at that point, like I just hadn't, I hadn't maximized my potential from the right side. And so whenever I was a 7th grader, I started playing for a coach who switched me to the left side, and I started slapping. And I went through summer ball, and at that point, I started thinking to myself, I might want to like continue to do this for longer than just high school. And then 8th grade came around, and I thought, this could very well be a possibility for me. And so I would say end of my middle school career, I would say, is whenever I started thinking to myself, I could very well end up playing in college.
Well, and I talk about your hand-eye coordination, but you were really fast too. Your speed on the base path caused people a lot of problems. I just remember watching you play and trying to think about the totality of different athletes I've seen, and I always felt like that. To make another comparison, I hope you take this as a compliment. I played with Rod Smith, who at Missouri Southern, who ended up in the Ring of Honor with the Denver Broncos, and then to be around Will Compton in high school. To watch you on the field and to watch you around your teammates, I throw you in that category of you're a heck of an athlete, but you were really a good teammate. Like, and I always took from them, like, it's okay to be a great athlete, but it's maybe more important to be a good person, at least good to your teammates. Not that people don't make mistakes, or you know, they live. Both of them have had very public lives, and but I kind of saw you in that same vein as treating people well, and so I could see where. How did that transition into college? Like when you got to college, did you still kind of have that leader? Did people kind of look to you?
Yeah, I would say so, and I would hope that they
It's
would
hard to
say
talk
the
about.
same. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that like not only like has that like I don't know like it might seem like a selfless thing, and it is a selfless thing to be very for your teammates, but I would say that that also has helped me so much along the way in the sense of like. I don't know, like the way that I talk to my teammates is almost like practice for the way that I self-talk as well. So like, I feel like I'm pretty good at like being able to like shake things off. Like when things go wrong, like I feel like I'm pretty good at internalizing it and then just kind of moving on to the next. And I would say that that has helped me a lot, like at least athletically and even into my professional career too as well. But being able to like internalize and have good self-talk, like there was a lot of emphasis on that in college, which in college, it's different because you go there and everybody's good. You know, everybody's good. And so what makes you different and makes you great is not necessarily your skill set as much as it is how good of a teammate you are and how you internalize things and really just your whole mentality as a whole.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point, I know I'm jumping around here, but was there ever a point you were like, first of all, what am I doing here and can I make it?
Yeah. Whenever I was a freshman, like I said, I had a rough year just all around, and I was prepared, and I talk about this frequently, but at R-VII did such a good job of preparing me in every single way, academically, athletically, I would say like completely prepared, but I was not prepared to leave home. And that was the biggest thing for me was leaving home. And so I was extremely homesick, and that was really hard for me to get over. Yeah. But going into my freshman year season, there was a girl on the team that was just an absolute stud. She was amazing. And she was a second baseman, and she was a leadoff batter. And so I kind of knew my role, like I was going to be spending most of my time on the bench, and that was just it. There really wasn't much I could do about it.
You have to work your way. That's what people don't understand. You've got to work your way through it.
Absolutely. And I guess it was our third tournament. We were down at Ole Miss playing in a series, and that girl runs to first base and tears her ACL. And so she's out for the season. She's done. She was a fifth-year senior, so she had come back that year.
Wow.
And so at that point, it was the game that we were playing Ole Miss, and I was thrown into second base, and I was like, okay, well, I guess here we go. And I started out, and I remember I had a good first few games, and then just the wheels came off for me. And it was a really, really hard time, coupled with wanting to go home, gone every weekend. It was just a crazy time. And I was thinking to myself at that point, like there would be times that I would be able to, I would sneak home. And I say sneak home because during that time it was still COVID. So if you went home, you technically had to do a week quarantine, which I don't know if I should even be saying this, but I would
I think we're beyond the statute of limitations.
Yeah, but I would sneak home and I would come back, and like it would be like literally like overnight just to like go home and eat a meal at home with my dad.
Yeah.
And I would go home, eat a meal, come back, and at that point, I remember saying to myself one night, I was sitting on the couch and I thought to myself, what if I just don't go back? But I did, and I'm so glad that I did. You know, I can't even imagine what would have happened if I didn't, you know. But,
So actually, Mr. Rugley and I talked about this week.
Yeah.
I'll be brief because I know this is your time, but
Yeah.
he talked about being homesick that first weekend and called his mom and said, come get me, because he said, they didn't let me take my car. And she said, well, we'll see you in a couple of days because you can just walk home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's hard.
Right. Oh, it's very hard.
And my parents, that summer, I went to college at Missouri Southern. My dad was actually, they were moving back from Dexter back to Bonne Terre. And by the time I got back home, I'd never seen, they had a whole life for a semester in a house. I didn't even know where they lived.
Yeah.
So I really felt like I had no home to go back to.
Yeah.
But that's an incredible story. And I know how supportive your parents have done a wonderful job. Really, both of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much humor you produce, but your brother was always a great humor.
Yeah.
I kind of look at my own kids like, you consume humor and you produce humor, and we kind of have that relationship in our own family.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about your high school career. Also basketball, track and field. Talk about the different. Let's talk about the team aspect. You were on some very high-level track teams and also a softball team that placed third in state. Kind of talk about that softball experience, because I drew the short straw on that and didn't get to go over and watch it. I had to take care of the football game and stuff at home, but we stopped school. I don't know if you knew this. We stopped school and the kids came down to the cafeteria and we watched it on the TV and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. There were you played 2 games there. You played the semifinal game. What was was it 1-0?
1-0, yeah.
And then you guys, so there were 2 runs
Yes.
in 2 games.
Yes.
And that's how good.
Oh, yeah. I think our last 4 games, I think from the district championship on, I think they were all 1-run games, which.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I thought it in that context, but.
Yeah, I know our district championship, we played Kelly, and it was a 2-1 game. And then after that, we played quarterfinals down here. And, who did Blair? Was that Blair Oaks? No,
I thought
that
it was South Callaway, maybe.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I think it was South Callaway. I could be wrong.
And then Blair Oaks was whenever we got to state, because whenever we were there, that's when we played them. That was a 1-run game, and then the consolation game was a 1-run game as well.
And it the offense consisted of you getting on, you stealing second, and then Sarah knocking you in.
A lot of it was, yeah.
That's kind of how, but 2 high-level players there between you and Sarah.
Yeah.
And then everybody else really kind of pulling together for a small Class 2 school.
Yeah.
Really an amazing accomplishment there. Of course, you had I think you had all-state honors in softball and everything that went along with that. And then kind of talk a little bit about basketball. Why did you do basketball?
Well, we had such a great coach. Well, no, I really enjoyed, I don't know, I liked, having a break from softball.
Okay.
And a lot of my friends played basketball. I really wasn't a basketball player. I never played basketball until I got to, I guess I played in 8th grade, but that was, my first time ever playing basketball. And I thought it was really fun, and I liked the team aspect a lot. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of the sport, I don't know, I really liked it, and the conditioning part of it really sucks
Let me
at the
just tell
time.
you this. You could tell you had with your, you got to spend some time with that.
Yeah.
But you were by far, the best athlete on the court. You just ran around everybody.
Well, I could run. I could run, and that was about it. That's what I had going for me. But no, it was really fun. I really enjoyed basketball. Track, I would say I liked more. And that's probably because I felt like I was better at it.
Sure.
And I felt like I succeeded
more in your
better.
comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And all I had to do was run. I didn't have to dribble a ball or shoot or
Turn
anything
left
like
every
that.
once in a while.
Yeah, right. But no, I really enjoyed track. And track, I talk about there's not a better feeling. And there is still no adrenaline that comes with getting in blocks and waiting for the gun to go off. And I absolutely fell in love with that. And it's such an individual sport, but also a team sport at the same time. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people look at track and think, well, it's so individual, you're doing everything for yourself. But I wouldn't say that that's true. And especially like with my experience with track and whenever we went to state, and I mean, we placed at state 3 years maybe in a row.
I think that was right.
Yeah. And, but like, especially for me, like I ran a lot of relay teams.
Right.
And so like, I loved the fact that it was team oriented, but also individualized at the same time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you doing softball along with track at that time?
Yeah. So we would start playing travel ball in the spring. And so sometimes it would overlap, but how I and my family always valued it was whatever sport you're in season 4 is a sport that you're going to play. So, whether it be a practice or even a weekend game, like you're playing the sport that you committed to, and that is your number one priority. So anytime that we would have like a practice or a game in spring ball for travel ball, track would always trump that. Or like if we had practice over the winter for softball and we had a basketball game going on, or a basketball practice for basketball and games would always trump softball.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'll just share this. Growing up, my dad is known for the football stuff, but he was really a heck of a track coach.
Yeah.
So I did track a little bit growing up, and then my senior year I came back to track. Really enjoyed it. Would you believe I used to long jump? I long jump once over 21 foot.
Did you really?
Yeah, and threw the discus over 150.
That's awesome.
Yeah, can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
My body would fall
prove it.
apart.
Let's go.
But I think the one thing I learned from him was, in the track thing, was sometimes you have to recognize the talent, and then it may not be their primary interest, but is there a way you can get them on your team?
Right.
And so when I got to Pacific, I was the girls' track coach there, and they never won a conference title, but there were 3 young ladies that were really good softball players. One of them, I think, went and pitched at Indiana State.
Really?
This is back in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
And she was a heck of a kid.
Yeah.
And then there was twins that were really good. So I made a deal with them that we'll protect your time to get to the softball practices.
Right.
If you can give me, and they were great, and they ended up winning the conference title and had a great year. But I kind of saw some similarities there.
Yeah.
Just kind of curious how much
Yeah.
you were doing softball in the spring.
Oh yeah, I mean practices went year round with softball for travel ball. I mean we would have a fall. Well, we'd play in the summer, and then we'd have like a couple weeks off or so, and then we'd start practicing, and then we'd have a fall season. We'd play like 3 tournaments or so that we'd travel to, and then we'd practice all winter, and then early spring, like March or so, we'd start playing.
Gotcha.
So I mean it was a year round gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to segue to academically here too. I kind of go back to a comment you made. I appreciate hearing that R-VII, you went over there and could handle it academically more. That's the most important thing to
Yeah.
me. I would say my freshman year, I struggled less with the homesickness, but more really with academics. I tell a story too where I was actually on a recruiting trip at Northwestern, and I went to the football part of it, and I was like, man, this place is pretty cool. And then I sat down with the academic advisor, and I realized I felt bad, and I never wanted. I always felt like if I got in charge of a high school, that we would push to make sure we were challenged academically, so that kids that want to go to like those. I was so embarrassed, and that always stuck with me. So I'm glad to hear that academically, but we focus a lot on the ACT here. I don't know what your score was. Can I ask what your score was?
Yeah, it was a 24.
24.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend to get that 24? Did you just take it like once and get it?
I took it, I think I took it 2 times, 2 or 3 times, but I think I might have got like a 22, 23, and a 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was kind of similar in high school. Nobody said take it more.
Yeah.
I think I had like a 23, and I was like, well, I'm eligible to play in college.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you looked at it?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. But you had strong academic grades. Did you leave here with any college hours?
Yes. I was looking at it the other day. I think I had 23 maybe college hours, I think.
Did that help you when you went to Indiana State?
Yes. It helped me with my foundational studies classes. Now, I graduated at the same time. It's not like I got to the end of my career or like the end of my college experience and like could, slack off because I didn't have to take as many college classes. But I guess it was also different because I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
So, like if I chose a different avenue, then
Gotcha.
it might have been different. But it did knock quite a bit of my foundational studies classes out of the way for me.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think that's more. I look at R-VII. I think we've done a lot of nice things here, but taking where kids maybe can save some money on the back end of their college experience. I know you
Yeah.
were a little different with the scholarship and everything, but and by the way, is it a true full ride?
It was not a true full ride. I had I don't know exactly what the percentage was, but I mean, I didn't hardly pay anything. I paid for books and that was just about it. But with athletically and then academically, it was pretty
So
much
you had a
completely-
combination thing. I think
Yeah,
that's important.
combination. Yeah,
Very
combination thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
But I didn't hardly. I have. Yeah, very fortunate.
One last question, because this was a tough time for all of us. That 2020 COVID.
Yeah.
You had finished your, of course, softball season. You had finished your basketball season and getting
Yeah.
ready for track. And
Yeah.
March 17th, we were out of here.
Uh-huh.
I kind of looked at it like your class academically. I don't know if they miss much. Like you guys had all that in the.
Yeah.
I think that. But what impact did you have for not having that last track season, or how did that?
I mean, at the time, you just think that, oh, this is the worst thing in the entire world. But I mean, I don't know. We missed a prom and graduation got moved. But
Yeah.
I mean, still had graduation and everything. And I don't know. I would have liked to have, it would have been cool to have been able to walk out of the doors on the last day of school with everybody. But I mean, that just wasn't realistic. I mean, there's no way that it could have happened. And, I think that what we knew about it at the time, I think that's was perfect what we did,
Oh, I think,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just. I mean, we had great. I just didn't know from the perspective of not getting that last track season, or
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that bothered me that
you kind of
bad.
had bigger fish to fry.
I did, and I was already my wheels were already turning and thinking about what was coming up next, and
Well, how was that going to Indiana State then? I didn't think about that question before I got here. But
yeah. Well, I would say the biggest thing was softball, because softball kept us there, and like I said, that paired with how badly I was homesick.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
that was, as soon as I stepped on campus, it was not allowed for us to go home. It was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience. But I mean, class-wise, I mean, we had a lot of hybrid classes. I don't think I had any fully online classes. I don't think I did. But, we would have classes where we'd go, 2 days. We'd go meet Monday, and then maybe we'd be online Wednesday and Friday. So, I mean, it was kind of hybrid. But I would say the biggest thing was softball. And there was a couple times that we had to quarantine. There was one day, and I still don't understand how this exactly went, but we scrimmaged, we split team scrimmage, and one of the girls on the other team came up positive for COVID. And so all the girls on that team had to quarantine, but that was a whole deal because, half of this team is living with the girls that are quarantining on this team. And so it was a whole mess. My college roommate, whenever me and Kennedy in the dorms, she had to leave and go to another dorm. And it was funny. So we were on the 11th floor in our dorm room, and she was across campus on a different, on the same level, or floor 8 or something, on a different dorm room. And she was there for a week. And literally in the room, could not leave for a week. It was horrible. And
That is horrible.
Yeah, and I would stand there with the flashlight, and we could see each other with the flashlights across campus. But it was a crazy, crazy time to be in college for college sports, that is. But yeah, it was
So I
crazy.
could see where that would really add to the homesickness. So how many other students were on campus at that point?
Man, I don't know.
But
I
maybe-
mean, comparatively, to other years, it was a ghost town. But I mean, at the time, I didn't have any idea. But I mean, there was nobody on campus. It was
such a crazy time.
It was a crazy time.
Yeah,
And I mean, a lot of kids too just didn't go at all to class. I mean, if the hybrid sense, it's just everything's online. The professors have to put everything online because of COVID in the first place. Because if a kid comes up with COVID, they have to be able to provide to that kid. So it was a mess. But
wow. I
we
could
are.
see where you'd be a little homesick.
oh yeah, it was hard. It was very hard. And it was also hard because, the coaches did not really want all of us hanging out as a team.
Understood.
And so it was also hard to build relationships with those girls at the same time, kind of build that team community. It was a hard adjustment to make.
So when you put things into context, you had the heavy COVID fall start. You get to the spring, and suddenly you're playing against Ole Miss and homesick.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah, it was.
Well, good for you I tell you, it's incredible you survived that on some level as a person.
It's hard. It was hard.
Did you have that relationship with your coaches that you could kind of feel like that real connect, like did that help you keep moving forward too?
Very much so. Yeah.
You had told me that just great things about
Yeah,
them.
great things. Our coach, Pooch, he was wonderful. I had him all 4 years, and we had my sophomore year, 2 other coaches came in, and they're quite a bit younger. They were both in their mid-20s, and one was an All-American from Georgia, and then the other one played at Indiana, and she was a stud too. But they were amazing. You know, I still talk to them. I still talk to Pooch. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate with coaches along the way. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to the meat of this. This is really maybe some tips and stuff for our parents and families and kids. So we talked about the recruiting process. The first question I'm going to ask is, when did that kind of start for you?
Well, this is different now because they have, at least as far as I'm aware, they still have the September 1st rule. I think of like your junior years whenever you could talk to college coaches. And that was kind of weird for me because I can remember talking to Coach Redburn down at SEMO, and then the rule went into place. And then I could then talk to him again in September. So it was kind of weird, but I would say my sophomore year is whenever I started talking to coaches.
Okay. So I'm going to try to, sequencing this is going to be hard because I think that the recruiting stuff for each sport can almost be all over the place from what I've gathered.
Yeah, absolutely.
When did you consciously say, I want to get myself out there to recruit? Like you said, you were kind of talking to Coach Redburn. How did that even get to the point where they were talking to you? Did you, in other words, as a freshman, did you say, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to?
Yeah, I would say my freshman year of high school is whenever I really was committed to the recruiting process.
Okay.
And that was kind of like kudos to my travel ball team and coach, who is actually the head coach of the team here, Amanda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she was very good about like making sure that we're getting our emails out, and we had like a I don't know, like a little box behind the dugout everywhere we went, and it had all of our recruiting sheets in it, like how old we are and our stats, and everything was on it.
And she organized that for you?
Yeah, she did all that, and so at least I'm pretty sure it was her that did all that for us, and that was nice too. That coaches could come up, and if they're looking at somebody, they can flip through it and pick out the recruiting sheet, and they know everything about how.
You ever think, man, they're picking me?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's coaches walking around. I can't even focus. Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. But.
So, we had talked prior. So for you, there's so many options out there. Before we go any further, I would tell you that my experience with athletes who have gone on to, and it's been a while for me, but that it was always, at some point, the family really took ownership of it. And it sounds like that's your situation as well, that you can't really rely on others at the end of the day, but try to use as many resources as you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, too, like, our coaches, like, I think that they put a lot of responsibility on us as well,
Okay,
like,
good.
as players, like, it was, I mean, I can remember being on the way, like, in a car on the way somewhere, and my mom telling me, you need to be sending emails out right now. But she would hold me accountable.
I understand.
Yeah, she would hold me accountable, absolutely. But like a lot of that was on us as well.
So I had asked you too, because I know, I'm not going to go into our situation, but I know that those, it was just recommended to us by family in Florida that we worked with the tennis stuff, that we maybe look at, go ahead and getting into the online platform and getting a virtual platform, a program to get our names out there. And I think they were very specific about the sport that we were working with. So did you use a virtual online platform? You did, but you didn't live in it, I guess would be the right way.
Yeah, at the time, I guess whenever I was going through the process, everybody was just screaming email, email, email. And so I did have like a video, like a recruiting
highlight video.
recruiting highlight video. Thank you. And that really just consisted of me hitting the ball, like it was very like basic, I would say. But I would attach that in my emails whenever I sent. Like, I don't really know how they do it now. If there is like some type of platform where you can flip through, or I really don't know how it is now, but that was just how it was whenever I was.
I would say that we started that process of emailing. And how many responses did you get back through emails?
0.
Yeah, we kind of found the same.
Yeah. And one thing that I would definitely suggest as far as recruiting goes is just getting out there, like going to camps, going to showcase camps. That's how I got recruited. It was the first time, at least with Indiana State, I was at a showcase camp with several other college coaches there. Like I think there might have been 5 or 6 maybe college coaches that were there at the camp. And so they just kind of hover around, and I want to say they maybe like coached like a scrimmage game or something like that. But really, like, I feel like most of the stories that I've heard, you're seen by being seen in person, not through an email. I'm sure most college coaches, they get thousands of emails, a week from kids, and it's really hard to sort through those, I would imagine.
So I'm going to segue a little bit. I would say the platform changed everything for us.
Yeah.
It kept track of all your emails. It got you linked up to them. And I would say that there was a lot of responses back.
That's awesome. Yeah.
At least to just kind of inquire and everything. And they have your whole package in there. So we give kudos to that group in Florida that we're working with, the family in Florida.
Cool.
But I was just curious about that from you. So back to your situation, and I wanted to kind of answer your question.
Yeah.
The platforms now they have, they're very organized for you.
Really, yeah. See, that's totally different than
They took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because you had a spreadsheet. Who did you email?
Right.
It's all in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we saw lots of really quick responses back.
Yeah.
So I wanted to answer that question.
Yeah.
But so like the SEMO coach saw you in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah. Just like walking by.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and everybody has crazy stories. There was a girl that I went to school with that she said she had absolutely the best game of her life, and they're twins actually. So there's 2 twins, and they played on the same team and everything, and one of them had the best game of their life, and one of them had the worst game of their life, and the one got noticed by my coach, and they got together and they basically said, well, I'm not going without the other one. And they both go, and they both end up being all conference players.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, everybody's got a crazy story, it seems like, about how they got recruited.
So I wanted to delve a little bit into, and I know you're the chaos team that you ended up with. I think sometimes there's a thought that it sounds like they did a good job of instructing you what you need to be doing, but they weren't taking ownership of the process for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say other than like the recruitment sheets that they would put on the back of the dugout, it was on us to do the recruiting for ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much exploration did you have to do, or did you just kind of get to the end of it and think, how did that happen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to the end of it and I was like, how did I get here?
And you had narrowed your choices down to basically 3 colleges. It sounded like you had maybe 2, and then Indiana State kind of popped in late.
Yeah, so I was talking to Murray State and SEMO, and I was narrowed in on SEMO at the time. So SEMO was offering me more money, and so I pretty well had it figured out that I was going to SEMO.
SEMO's a heck of a program, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And and I had girls that I played with that went down there and had great careers and loved it down there. And Coach Redburn's awesome. I can't say enough about him. But I was probably about a week away from committing to SEMO, and I really don't know why I was dragging my feet on it. I guess I was just waiting just in case, and I'm glad I did. But I went to a showcase camp, and Pooch saw me, and I think it might have been even the next day. He called me and asked me to come over for a visit. And so my dad was mad at me because my dad was like, well, I don't know why you even want to do this. You're so dead set on going to SEMO. This is going to be a waste of time, waste of money.
Watch you every day.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so I was like, Dad, it can't hurt. Like, it's only 3 hours away. Just let's go. So we went, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and the rest is history. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
And I think let's talk about that too. If I think some things just happen, but I think you have to be open to making sure you're going to the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And I know in working with athletes in the past that I had the privilege of working with, it was, this is your time, because once you go, they own you.
Absolutely.
And so spending a lot of time, and I always put it in phrases like, if you were going to be a top level doctor, because I always felt like some people said, well, you should go here. This place is more prestigious. Like, is staying local better, or is it doing what's best for you and going away from home? You know, type deal.
Yeah.
So if you had to talk to parents today, and you're having that chance right here, how much emphasis would you place on, like, not worrying about the level, but maybe really focusing on what's the best fit for the kid?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, whatever you're looking for, or whatever it is that you're prioritizing, like, I don't know, like, I feel like that's important to know going into this whole process. Like, if you're looking to go to a school and you know that you want to become a doctor, or you want to become a teacher, or whatever it might be, like, I think that it's important to focus way more on that, because that's going to be their life, you know. The sport doesn't last forever.
No.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, like, whenever I was weighing my options, you know, like, I knew that SEMO was a great teacher college, and so was Indiana State. And, like, I knew that either way there, I'm not going to make a bad decision.
Good for you.
Yeah, which worked out really well. But also, like, as far as athletics go, one thing that being around a lot of college athletes, just in general, I mean, I still play on a collegiate league over the summer and everything. I'm around a lot of girls that still are in the sport. And one thing, too, is, like, knowing the coaches and knowing what you want out of coaching. I was very fortunate with my coaches. I would say, like, being able to relate to and, like, being comfortable with your coaches is a really big deal. It's a huge deal. And whenever I was going through the recruiting process, one thing that I noticed that stood out to me on different visits that I went on was being able to meet with the girls as well. So, like, the people that I'm going to be surrounded with, because that can absolutely make or break a college experience athletically. Like, if you know that you're going into a team and there's a lot of drama and there's, you know, a lot of disagreement and fighting, that can absolutely ruin a college experience. And it's also hard because, you know, they have to put on a front and, you know, that sort of thing. But being around more people and being around the atmosphere more helps a lot going through the process. Because that was one thing that whenever I went to Indiana State on that visit, I got to meet quite a few of the girls. And I just walked out of there and thought that was the most amazing visit that I'd been on. You know, just like being able to talk with the girls and like kind of getting a feel of what the whole atmosphere of the team is like going into those situations. And it's okay to ask those questions because really, like, you're the one trying to figure out what's best for you. So like you're almost interviewing them in the sense of like, you want to figure out what you're getting yourself into, what makes this college better than this college, and things of that sort.
So it's interesting. I'm going to segue for a second here.
Yeah.
I remember dealing with Will Compton at North County, and at the time, I'll keep it as brief as I can, but at the time Nebraska was changing coaches, so he decommitted from Nebraska, opened his recruiting process up, and then they were going to hire Bo Pelini, the defensive coordinator from LSU. And I said, you know, Will, why don't you get a hold of some of the players at LSU and see? I said, I think the number one question you ask is how they treat injured athletes.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge.
And and we came up with some other list of questions, and he said that he got a hold of some like 3 or 4 guys down there, and he was amazing at he's amazing at if you look at his career now, he's amazing at just handling people. But he came back and he goes, they said that you are treated as golden. I just kind of remember some of my experience in college of like somebody got hurt, they were almost kind of, I remember the term being you were dead to the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know his experience was spot on. They treated people, they didn't care. You were hurt, you were healthy, you were part of that team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so I think to your point, it sounds like that's maybe where the recruiting thing really becomes critical instead of, well, I'm going to this college to do this. It's you got to look at it as a person.
Right. Yeah.
And we really focused on that with Will several years ago. So it's like you did a tremendous job of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something if I could share with parents is, I think about Charles Barkley's statement a couple of years ago too, is that, you're going away from home for the first time and you're going to an unknown environment. You better be going to a place you have an opportunity to play and play pretty soon. Yeah. And not just, not saying it's not a fit for everybody, but there's something to making sure you're involved and having that opportunity. You as an athlete have to capitalize on it. Right. Because when you get there, you don't have the skill set that they have. I'm talking about the other athletes. Yeah. They've been there a while.
Right. Absolutely.
Did you ever think, I remember my thought is I've worked really hard to get to where I had the ability to play college football. But as soon as I got there, I realized I don't work hard enough yet. Even though I felt like I had, and I believe I had. I believe there was nothing I would have done differently to that point. Did you have that same sensation when you got there?
I don't know if I would say that or not. Honestly, I think that I was prepared. I don't know. I feel like my travel ball coaches really, they ingrained in me be prepared to be there 30 minutes early and stay 30 minutes after. And that was just the expectation. Yeah. So I would say I was prepared for that. And but I mean, I would say that the majority of girls at Indiana State at college, I would say that they stayed after too. Yeah. It was, everybody was prepared for that. Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where I was different. I played just high school sports. Of course, I'm a lot older. But the travel ball does probably, because you start to get around those other athletes and be challenged. I mean, I'm sure through travel ball, you probably played teams you're like, they're good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that only makes you better too, because I think you sometimes think that's where I want to be. But so I'm going to close this recruiting process out. Is there anything else you want to add?
I mean, I don't think so. I know you wrote on there some advice. I would say it's really from being an athlete, it is one of the most stressful times that you can possibly go through because you're weighing the next 4 years of your life. And it's just, it sounds like the biggest deal ever, but I would just say to sit back and take a deep breath, because regardless of the decision that you make, even if you think you're making a wrong decision or thought that you made a wrong decision, I don't think that you can make a wrong decision, because regardless, you're going to learn something not only about yourself athletically, but also just as a person. I think that there's a lot of people that go and go to a college and just, it's not the perfect fit. And that's okay, because you learn something about what you want and what you want out of, the whole process. So even if you might not think that you make the right decision the first time, you still got 4 more years to make the right decision. And there's a lot of people that do it and transfer and even if you want to drop out and do something completely different, if you want to work on a trade or anything like that, I think you're just learning more about yourself. So I would just say take a deep breath and just let it ride out. So that's my advice, I guess.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to maybe, you tell me if you agree with this or not. It's more, and I think that anybody has a certain passion. I always saw your passion with softball. But is it fair to say that the softball created those opportunities for you, but maybe more as a person than just the success in softball, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say that softball has opened opportunities for me, so many more opportunities than just what seems on the surface, playing softball got me the coaching job at R-VII or whatever. That's just surface level stuff. Like I think that softball has just taught me so much about teamwork and leadership and just so many other things that the sport teaches you. And I think that is what has made me into the person that I am today and has opened a lot of doors for me and opportunities.
So kind of in totality, I know you had a really great experience here with our coach. We had a good program. I mean, it was, still is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had Coach Rugley who had played college softball, and you had your travel league. I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of those things. And then you had your college experience. How much of that did each level emphasize dealing with adversity, or kind of building that mindset? Because I love what you were talking about. Like, it's not going to be perfect.
No.
And having done that college experience and playing athletics, it is not what it seems.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
And it's not as glamorous as it seems.
Right.
You really have to start digging in.
It is a grind. Absolutely.
And so,
yeah.
I know you're a grinder and you can handle adversity, but I think if you're talking to parents, how important that is to emphasize with your kids?
Oh, I think it's huge, and especially if they plan to pursue collegiate athletics. Like I think at every level, whether it be a junior college, a NAIA Division I, whatever it might be, I think that, like embracing the grind is a huge part of it, and that's not only athletically, but also academically as well. Like there's a lot that goes into it, managing the schedule and managing classes and being able to make sure that you get to practice on time. And it's a big deal, and it's a lot of responsibility that is taught young, I would say too. If it's not taught until the day you step on college campus, you're going to be in a whirlwind.
Very well said.
Yeah. So preparing a kid for it while they're still young is a big deal. Yeah.
And I think
it would be very helpful.
I think sometimes we lose that a little bit because of when I grew up, there weren't as many opportunities for leagues and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd go play in the backyard and figure our own rules out.
Right.
You'd fight through it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that intervention of the parent to say, I've always tried to teach my kids it's okay to get your butt kicked every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then how do you fight your way out of it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we grew up too. Like it was very much like things are not going to go well.
Right.
That's really some great stuff there. I'm going to segue a little bit to the college experience itself. And you've kind of answered some of this. So if you feel like you've answered it, just let me know. Perception entering versus reality. Sounds like you really had some people prepare you for that.
Yeah, I would say I was prepared for it. I didn't know what I was getting myself into as far as that. Like I really just didn't know. Like I felt like going into college was just like a big question mark. Like I didn't know. It's just a completely different life than what I had been used to. Like I was completely on my own. I had to go to the grocery store by myself. I had to, I had to drive everywhere by myself. It was just, you're thrown out there and you just fend for yourself, basically. It's your responsibility to go to class. It's your responsibility to just do life things.
So in other words, if you got your lunch at home,
yeah,
mom or dad wasn't bringing it to school.
Exactly. And, yeah, maybe I could talk my roommate into helping me out, but I'm
sure somebody liked you there enough to do that.
Right, but yeah, it's just I don't know if I really had much of a perception, I guess, going into it is, I guess what I'm saying. I really just didn't know. Like I guess I knew that, you only had to go to classes, like a few days a week. In softball, I knew that was going to take up a lot of my time.
Talk about that. That's the next question I have. I think that's the one thing that people don't understand. If you haven't done it, I mean this in a very polite way, but they kind of own you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought that it was a lot of time, and I knew it was going to be a lot of time. But I mean, I would get up. Well, in the fall, this is in the fall. I would get up and we would lift at 6 a.m. every morning. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about my student teaching experience because this was the craziest time.
Please.
Student teaching, I would get up in the morning. So me and my roommate, Kennedy, we roomed together all 4 years. And she was also a teacher. She was also in student teaching.
Except for when she was posted over there and you're doing Morse code to each other.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we were split up for a little while there. But we would get up, and so we had to lift early in the spring. So in the spring, in the fall, we all lifted early. So we would all get up, and we would all, as a whole team, would get up and lift at 6 a.m. And then that would end going into the spring, and so we just kind of fit it in.
Season.
Yes, because that's the actual season. So then, well, yeah. Well,
I mean, that's your actual team season when the championships are on the line.
No, that's in the spring.
That's what I meant.
Yes,
that's why it changed. In the fall, you're just
yes, all together, yeah.
Not quite as intense in the fall.
Correct.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's not nearly as much going on in the fall.
Sorry.
Did
a very good job there.
But in the spring, so that was whenever we were student teaching, and we had to get up and do weightlifting before we had our student teaching day. So we would get up and we would lift at 5:30, so we'd have to be earlier because we had to make sure we got to school on time. So we would lift at 5:30 in the morning, and then we'd go home. Hopefully we had enough time to take a shower. And then we'd change into teaching clothes. We would go to school until 3 o'clock or so. We'd get in the car and we would.
Wow.
And my school was 20 minutes away from where campus was. So I had to drive there, drive back, and then we had practice at 3:30 every day. So, I mean, it was from one thing to the next every single day. And then, I mean,
What about the travel?
Well, I was going to say the travel, that was a whole nother thing because we were never there. Never, any Fridays, we were never there because we always played on Friday.
Right.
And most Thursdays we were gone too because that's when we would travel. So, originally, I was supposed to be done with student teaching April 11th, I think it was, in the spring. And I had to make up every single day that I did not make it there. So I did not end student teaching until after I was done with the tournament. So, so we were done with the tournament May 16th, and then I had to come back, and then I had like 1 or 2 days left of student teaching after that. So it added like a month to my schooling my senior year. It's crazy, but wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's all. I don't think that's, maybe you said it as well as anybody, like all the time that goes into it.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
You're putting in at that point 5:30 to probably what, 6:30 every day, 7 o'clock.
6:30, 7 o'clock. Yeah.
It's a long day.
It's a long day. Yeah, it is. But
it's
around good people, and you're all doing it together for the most part. So.
I think that's the one thing that I took from my experience too, was the time it takes to do things, and it's more than just the time you're supposed to be there.
Right.
And I think that will help you as I know you're looking pursuing some degrees and stuff, some leadership positions maybe down the road in education. I think you'd be a wonderful leader. It's just making sure you enjoy that. Process. Travel. I know the softball season, and I think you've kind of alluded to that basically you kind of went into like a series over a weekend, right? Yeah,
so we'd play one game Friday, one game Saturday, and one game Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your weekends, home or away, were kind of shot. Did you guys play any games like on Tuesdays or anything?
Starting conference, we would play a few midweek games, but those are usually pretty close. Like we play Evansville was our closest. Right. So we'd play them. Their series was during the week. So we would just alternate weeks. So 3 weeks we played them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays in the middle of the week.
So Natalie and I would look at, because she played some tennis tournaments over at Evansville, trying to see if we could see an Indiana State softball game. If we could get there. And we had one small window and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But we kept looking. Anyway, it didn't work out for us. Would you do it again? I think I know that answer, but would you do it again?
I would absolutely do it again. Yeah. I wouldn't change anything about it either. I talk about my freshman year being such a handful and it just being just absolutely crazy. And I mean, at points I hated it, but I think that allowed me to grow so much as a person, like going through that adversity. And I think I was very, very fortunate going into it. Like I hadn't faced adversity like that before, and I've never had to sit on the bench.
It's hard.
And it's hard.
It's hard.
And going to that, I mean, that was a lot that I was not really prepared for, but you just learn to survive, and going through that, I grew so much, not only as an athlete, but as a person in general, and still learning to be grateful and to celebrate other people's victories. And, through that whole process, it's hard, but it's absolutely worth it.
So I'm going to ask one more question here, and this is really, I think, what a lot of us kind of wonder with the different, and it has nothing to do with Indiana State or Abi Chipps, a softball player, but this whole NIL thing. Has that, as you kind of see it, and this is not a specific to, like I said, the university you were at,
Right.
how's that impacted things in the softball world?
It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. I don't know how it's going to change things, but it's going to change things. I would say, like, there's going to be a lot more transfers and recruiting out of universities than there is straight out of high school. And, like, that might be different sports specific. And this is just my guess.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, but I would say that there's going to be a lot of recruiting within the collegiate world already that there is. So I don't know. The whole money thing, and I don't know. I don't know how that all is going to go, but I project that money is going to trump everything else. And so schools that got money are going to be the best. And, it sucks because I worry for, like, the mid-major schools.
I do too.
And, there was a girl that I played with all the way through that, I know she could have gone to a bigger school. And just, like, if the roles were different and NIL was there the start of my collegiate career, I don't know if she would have been there all 4 years, So I don't know. I fear for the mid-major schools more than anything. But I don't know. It's a mystery,
it's almost like
I
it's
guess.
becoming a farm system.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine I don't know how coaches could, I've just heard different stories, and I'm not going to the negative part of it, but you just hear that these coaches really don't have control anymore.
Yeah.
Like, how do you build a program year to year, and how do you even, like, the way you would even evaluate a program would have to be different than it was even 5 years ago, because I know how it was. You kind of committed, and as an athlete, you were there. That's
right.
And if you did transfer, you lost a year of eligibility, and it was
right.
a huge deal.
It was a huge deal.
And now I think about that adversity conversation you were talking about earlier. How much of that will be lost in the experience? And
absolutely.
I also understand there's philosophical things in general about sports. What are they really for? I think in the old days, years ago, there was still this mindset that it will help you as a person.
Yeah.
And if by chance, if you happen to make it professionally, great. But you got situations now where people just got drafted in the top 10 in the NFL that said, I'm going to go back and make more money in college for another year.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is insane.
And then that kind of that loyalty to the team and just that adversity part too. Like, where will people's careers be if they're really good, but they really needed that to get over that homesickness, or they needed to just learn how to compete a little bit harder, to not be able to sort of grow in a program for 4 years. Would they ever learn that as a person? Yeah. That's kind of where I see it. Yeah. Like, what's the point of the sports? Is it all about money? And now
I don't know. And maybe I'm off on that. And I don't know. I don't know. All I know is my opinion and just being in it. And that's really all I know. But it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably were on that last edge of, and like you said, I fear for the mid majors who they recruit sometimes somebody that went under the radar that really is beneficial to the program, and also the school is really beneficial to the kid.
Right.
But then the big boys said, well, we could really need that, and just
Yeah.
pull them over and
Right.
pay them to do it. I mean, how do you
Right.
turn it down?
I know.
Too. I mean, it's not a criticism of anybody.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
This was awesome. I was so looking forward to having this. I love watching kids. The reason I am in education is I really like to see other people be successful and enjoy things, and also try to create the processes and put the right people in the right place so that it's first of all enjoyable, but also people are being successful. So it was awesome to watch you get that opportunity, but it's even cooler now to hear on the back end kind of your experience. And I hope people at home really take. I'm telling you, she's most important thing. She's really a good person, and I think the only advice I ever had to give you was keep smiling. Don't ever not smile.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. She has a great smile. So thank you very much.